It's not a way you would want somebody treating your 18-year-old daughter.
Most people think of Destiny's Child as the Holy Trinity of Beyonce, Kelly, and Michelle. But don't forget that there were other members too, like Farrah Franklin, who joined at the same time as Michelle did. But she didn't last long. From several arrests to inappropriate behavior accusations, you'll never believe the real truth about what happened to her. Farrah joined Destiny's Child when they just started to experience stardom. The girl band had just released their hit second album, The Writing's on the Wall, and Farrah seriously lucked out. She was originally just an extra in the music video for the album's first single, but the group's manager slash Beyonce's dad, Matthew Knowles, apparently saw potential in her and hired her. She and Michelle Williams were replacing two former bandmates who'd been let go, but little did Farrah know at the time that it wouldn't be long before she met a similar fate. Farrah got to be a part of the smash hit #1 single Say My Name, and for 5 months she got to experience a taste of fame that very few people ever get to enjoy. But then everything came crashing down for her. Now, there are two very different reasons as to why Farrah stopped being a part of Destiny's Child. Let's first look at what other members of the group had to say about it. Beyonce had the opportunity to tell the world what happened with Farrah. In an interview with MTV, she revealed that the former member had basically been asked to leave. Beyonce went on to say that Farrah didn't show up for 3 promotional events and that she didn't come to an important 5-day promotional tour in Australia, so they felt they had no choice but to part ways with her. And it apparently wasn't a managerial position, it was a group decision. This was a pretty big diss because it suggested that none of the other members wanted Farrah in their girl band, and for a lot of us, that was the end of that. After all, Farrah didn't have the same kind of platform to speak out and share her side of the story, but over the years, she shared her version with different media outlets, and you're honestly not going to believe the kind of things she shared. While interviewing with Vlad TV, Farrah claimed that she'd never missed a Destiny's Child show, and that the promotional shows that Beyonce was referring to were ones that happened after she had allegedly already quit the group. According to Farrah, she'd been really ill before one of the shows, but instead of missing it, she asked the doctor to give her a shot so that she could go on and perform. Apparently, no one had any sympathy for her except for Michelle, and the day before they were supposed to perform, Farrah claimed that the group ganged up on her, and that the way Matthew behaved toward her was not a way a person would want someone treating their 18-year-old daughter fresh out of the hospital. Farrah also claimed that Beyonce told her that if she didn't want to talk to her dad, then she didn't have to talk to her either. So she supposedly walked out of the hotel room and left the group. Ultimately, she blamed management, aka Beyonce's dad, for why she left. She was asked why she thought Beyonce had blamed her departure from the group on her being unprofessional, and that was when Farrah threw some major shade at Destiny's Child. She explained that what Beyonce said on MTV was a bold-faced lie, and that the reason they told the public that she'd been fired was to make the group not look bad. After all, 6 months earlier, they'd reportedly lost 2 bandmates due to managerial problems. So Farrah reckoned it wouldn't be great for their PR if they had to admit that they lost another member because of the same reason. It especially wouldn't look good for the manager Matthew. In April 2020, a video began circulating online of Farrah talking about Beyonce's father, and what she shared in the clip was truly shocking. It mysteriously came from a pilot from a show that was never aired. I think you can guess the show's premise from its title, Last Chance Girl Group. Farrah alleged something pretty unspeakable in her interview for the episode. She said that Matthew propositioned her, that he invited her over to his hotel room to meet and speak with him. The interviewer asked her if he'd been inappropriate with her, and Farrah didn't say no. She hesitated for a moment and then cryptically said that she hadn't met too many people in her life that didn't like her, and that she'd just leave it at that. I guess we'll never know which side was telling the truth, but we do know what happened to Farrah after her brief stint with Destiny's Child. She started out on a solo career, but since you probably didn't know her name before today, I think it's safe to say that it wasn't exactly a successful one. According to a report by the Daily Beast, in between 2002 and 2005, she was signed to and later dropped from 2 different record labels. And in the 2010s, she put out a number of singles, but of course, none that could compare to the Destiny's Child song that she sang on. She also tried her hand at being an actor, appearing in a few movies, TV episodes, and music videos, but her second biggest claim to fame might have been when she appeared on an episode of Bravo's Millionaire Matchmaker. The episode didn't exactly redeem her in any way though. If anything, she just worsened her public image because she showed up 4 hours late for her arranged date, and the host Patty Stanger totally laid into her for it. But actually, that's not the only bad publicity she's gotten over the years. In the 2010s, Farrah began to make news headlines, but for all the wrong reasons. At the age of 29, she was arrested for disorderly conduct. She later told TMZ that she was the last victim of what seemed to be a growing list of those who were racially profiled and mistreated by Culver City police. She claimed that she was manhandled by the arresting officers and that there were no female officers on duty, but she was still required to take off her top. Culver City police said the opposite. They told TMZ that they responded to a 911 call, and the sources claimed that one of the officers was a woman. Farrah tweeted that she was going to file a lawsuit against the police, but the threat never led to anything. 3 years later, Farrah's name was back in the tabloids when she was arrested once again, and this time she couldn't blame the police of Culver City. She was arrested in South Carolina, and this arrest was even more insane than the first one. So get this, Farrah had been out with NFL players Daquan Bowers and Ricky Stapp. According to a TMZ report, the three of them went back to Ricky's place, and Farrah apparently looked like she was seriously under the influence. And guess who called the cops? Turns out it was the NFL players. They allegedly revealed that she'd gone to the bathroom several times and was later found lying in a neighbor's front yard, claiming that she was planning to go and sleep in the forest. I know, it sounds like she'd fallen pretty far from the top by this point, but just when you thought things couldn't get any more humiliating for Farrah, she was arrested one more time in 2016. This time, it was in Georgia, and she was supposedly arguing with a guy outside a gym at 3 a.m. When the cops arrived and asked her how much she had to drink, apparently she slurred back that she hadn't had enough. She was booked for being visibly under the influence and for having a green leafy substance on her person. Farrah has managed to stay out of jail for the last several years though. She moved to Atlanta to revive her music career in 2014, and her last known single came out in 2020. It's hard to tell if she regrets being a part of Destiny's Child or if she wishes she never stopped being a member of the girl group. She told some media outlets that she'd be up for a reunion though if the opportunity ever came along. But anyway, what do you guys think? Would life have turned out better for Farrah if she'd somehow remained a part of Destiny's Child? Is there any chance of her reuniting with the group if they got back together? Let me know in the comments below.